I would like to call to order the November 18th, 2024 Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners regular meeting. Welcome, everyone. We've got a packed house tonight. I think there is some overflow space in the multipurpose room. If anybody doesn't want to stand, that is available to you. If you would, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. If you would, please join me in a moment of silence for our invocation tonight. Thank you. First up is the approval or correction of the minutes. You all have a copy of those before you. Do I hear a motion to approve the meeting minutes as presented?
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next up is approval of the agenda. Based on input from several commissioners, I would make a motion to approve tonight's agenda with the following changes. First would be to remove item F10 from the consent agenda and add that as item G2 on new business for additional discussion, and that's the Cabarrus Recovery Grants update. I would also add item G3 to new business. That would be a discussion of the public safety training facility and a letter of intent to transfer some property to the city of Concord. Also add item G4 regarding the Cabarrus Health Alliance and a lease for the former Mount Pleasant Library property. And I do put that in the form of a motion. Do I hear? Okay, we have a second to that motion. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next, we move to recognitions and presentations. First, from Active Living and Parks, North Carolina Senior Games State Final Medal winners, and we're happy to have Ian Sweeney for that presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, commissioners, and thank you for your time. I've had the privilege of serving as the Cabarrus County Senior Games local coordinator for 3 years now. And during my tenure, I've witnessed the dedication of each of our participants and the passion from the volunteers and staff that make it possible. It's these factors that have led to growth in the program, with 2024 marking an all-time high of 330 participants in Cabarrus County Senior Games. So, trending in the right direction. For those that don't know, Cabarrus Senior Games is for anyone 50 years and better, and there's truly something for everyone, from pickleball, which everybody loves, to shuffleboard, bocce, even the arts, and we even have an award-winning cheerleading team, our Cabarrus County Sparks. So we're extremely proud of our participants. I'd like to also extend my gratitude to the support we've received from this board, county leadership, and our director, Londa Strong. Having you all in attendance at events, backing the program, I know it's appreciated by those participants. But we are here tonight to recognize and thank our participants that took their talents to Raleigh and brought home a lot of hardware. 36 gold medals, 28 silver medals, and 18 bronze. So 86 of our 330 went, and they did not come home empty-handed. So at this time, I'm going to call those participants' names out. If they're in attendance, I ask that they stand, and then afterwards, if they'll exit out of the back. So bear with me. We have a lot of winners on this list. Bob Anderson, Kathy Berry, Myra Bumgardner, Pam Beecher, Elizabeth Bennett, Brent Bigger, Robert Bouts, Robin Bouts, Michael Burris, Joanne Chesley, Jack Kraft, Lisa Kraft, Ronald Flanders, John Hall, Roy Hatley, Kenny Hazlitt, Bill Hickey, Denise Hickey, Emily Jones, Barbara Long, Jimmy Lucas, Marvin Martin, Robert McCauley, Ruth Norkett, Warren Norkett, Jerry Owen, Virginia Palmer, Mally Plowman, Sarah Price, Barb Reynolds, Colleen Rose, Mike Royster, Cindy Ruby, Lynn Salvaggio, Jag Sankar, Gwen Sembrowski, Robert Schoaf, Rebecca Schopf, Susan Sides, Scott Simpson, Joanne Smith, Jim Spencer, Kyle Ann Stearns, Bill Steyerwalt, Bill Vinzant, Earlene Ward, Mary Watts, Carla Williams, Philip Wise, and Kathy Zarakovitz. Congratulations for those here. Thank you all.
Great. Thank you, Ian, and thank you to all the participants who represent Cabarrus County so well. And I always love the way he says 50 or better. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you for being here. Okay, next up is Cabarrus County Official to America 250 Committee resolution, and I will read that resolution now. Resolution of Cabarrus County recognizing and approving of the Cabarrus County Official America 250 NC Committee. A resolution of the Cabarrus County, North Carolina, supporting the America 250 NC Committee for the United States Semi-Quincentennial America 250 NC. Whereas Roy Cooper, Governor of North Carolina, created America 250 NC to plan, encourage, develop, and coordinate the commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the United States and North Carolina's integral role in that event and the role of its people on the nation's past, present, and future. And whereas America 250 has a mission to engage all North Carolinians and all 100 counties through their many signatures and officially recognized programs, projects, and events over the commemoration by inspiring future leaders and celebrating North Carolina's contribution to the nation over the last 250 years, and whereas by adoption of America 250 NC's mission, the Cabarrus County Committee is officially formed to achieve the goals of America 250 NC, and the lead agency in Cabarrus County shall be Historic Cabarrus Association. Now therefore be it resolved that the County of Cabarrus hereby endorses America 250 NC and its mission, and resolved the County of Cabarrus officially establishes an America 250 NC committee made up of a diverse group of citizens to work with America 250 NC on any and all activities. The participants of the Cabarrus County Committee will be strictly voluntary roles, and there will be no compensation for participation. It is further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Cabarrus County Legislative Delegation and the America 250 NC Committee. Commissioners, you've heard the proclamation. Do I hear a motion to adopt as presented?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes unanimously. And we move now to emergency management, Mount Pleasant Elementary School Fire Safety Bulletin Board Contest. And we're happy to have Ashley Ennis for that presentation.
All right, good evening. My name is Ashley Ennis, and I am an assistant fire marshal here for the county. October is Fire Prevention Month, and this year's theme is Smoke Alarms, Make Them Work for You. To promote awareness of this important theme, I invited all the elementary schools served by our office to participate in a fire safety bulletin board contest. As part of the initiative, I offered to visit schools and teach the students a fire safety lesson centered on the theme. Following the lesson, students or grade levels would create a bulletin board reflecting the fire safety concepts they learned. This year, Mount Pleasant Elementary was the only school to participate in the contest. School Resource Officer Jennifer Burnett and I visited each third grade classroom to deliver a brief lesson about smoke alarm safety. Afterwards, art teacher Amber Barnhart guided the students during an art class to create a fantastic grade-level bulletin board showcasing what they learned. Here is a picture of the wonderful bulletin board the third grade students created. The students worked diligently, and to celebrate their efforts, we partnered with ServPro of Cabarrus County to host an ice cream party for them tomorrow. Tonight, I am excited to introduce a few of the talented third grade students from Mount Pleasant Elementary who will share a few important fire safety tips that they learned through the contest.
Smoke alarms should be in every bedroom. Smoke alarms should be in in the hallways, on every level of the house.
And your name?
My name is Leroy Aiken. Check your smoke alarms once a month to make sure they work. Replace your smoke alarms every 10 years. And my name is Hudson Love.
When your smoke alarm goes off, get outside quickly. Stay outside, never go back inside for anything. My name's Cullen Belch.
My name is Gourmet Fast. There are smoke alarms commonly known as bed shakers for deaf and hard of hearing. Make a home escape plan and practice with everyone in your home.
I'm incredibly proud of these third grade students from Mount Pleasant Elementary for their creativity and hard work. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share their wonderful accomplishments with you tonight.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all for that excellent job, and thank you for being with us here tonight. Next up are our informal public comments.
Sorry, thanks.
Somebody will. Thank you. Many of you have been here before for our informal public comments. We have a number of rules of procedure. I think those may have been circulated around the room earlier. If anybody needs a copy of them, we are happy to distribute them to them. I will mention that at our last meeting and some previous meetings, we have received complaints from some of the folks out in the audience, as well as some of the folks speaking, that they have difficulty hearing because members of the audience are either laughing out loud or making comments while people are trying to speak at the microphone, which of course, one thing about the acoustics in this room is, particularly if you're standing at that microphone, you can hear just about every conversation going on in the room. We try to all be respectful of every speaker and give each one an opportunity to speak without interruption. So if there is anybody that is creating any sort of a distraction or disruption in the audience tonight, we will ask the deputies, without any additional warning, to escort you out of the room. When we have people making their public comments, certainly my focus is on the individual speaking, trying to be respectful and hear what they have to say. So if any of the commissioners hear any disruption, please make that known. And so we have quite a few cards here tonight. Looks like maybe 25 or so. So we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak. You will have 3 minutes to talk. The timer will be here on the podium. If you would, please, when you come to the podium, of course, the microphone is for the benefit of our folks watching the live stream, as well as on Channel 22. So please state your name and address when you come up to speak. And our first speaker is Jerry Anderson.
Jerry Anderson. I'm up here to speak about the 4-9-16 scandal, DSS scandal. I'm also up here to talk about the temporary custody forms that was used here and well hidden. Nobody talks about it, but they were used here. Temporary custody forms used by the DSS workers. And you take the DSS form, temporary custody form, by itself, it's nothing wrong with it. It's like a weapon. You get a weapon in your house, it's probably used, you're getting it for protection. This form is nothing until somebody gets one. And then you're trying to wonder, what's their intent for getting this form? Why would they have this form when they're not supposed to use it? And then when you see a DSS worker use one, take it out of her little thing and sign it and have us sign it, well, that's just like the gun. You done used it and shot him. It's wrong. And Mike Downs, you gave me the letter when I told you about it, and you said it didn't happen here. You said it was some other kind of form they used. You was wrong, and now you know about it. What you gonna do about it? Mr. Cook told me that, well, everybody, she left when she used the form and then come back. And then when David Goldberg did the investigation, he's gone. And Mr. Cook told me he left because he got a better job in the private sector. He's up here in Gaston County now. He lives in Cabarrus and up in Gaston County. Why? I think because he did the investigation wrong. Yeah, y'all say it's nothing you can do. She's done been adopted. That's y'all's little thing. Well, y'all fed the information into the court. This DSS here fed the information in the court that was all wrong. Yeah, there is something can be done. Mr. Cooper can do something about it. It needs to be done something about. Y'all did something wrong. Y'all used wrong forms intended to snag this child, and in the process, kill my daughter. And I'm not a happy camper, and I don't know, somebody that has this happen to them gonna get up here and talk about it until something's done about it.
Okay, our next card is from Jeter Anderson.
Jeter Anderson. I too am talking about the 4916 child scandal. And to the public out here who's listening, how we're going to combat Mike Downs' social services child taking ring. We got to pass a law called Erica's Law, and that's where DSS can't come into your house and remove your child without taking somebody to jail. And that makes sense because, you know, they take some people's kids and they don't even know why they're being taken. And so they're taken and they go through a court process, 9 months. And meanwhile, they're around other kids and we don't know. They did something so bad, their child had to be taken. What? They need to be arrested. If you can't be parents and keep your kid, and DSS got to come to your house and remove them, you need to go to jail. And I think somebody is supposed to go to jail when your child is removed. In our case, nobody went to jail, no one was charged. And I'm around plenty of kids sitting behind me, but our child couldn't come back home. She had to be adopted out. It was that bad. It was that darn bad at my home. That kid had to be taken out on Saturday night, and I never seen her again. No court, no nothing. She was a beautiful child. I guess her skin color didn't quite match mine, so they took her from me. Because the social workers that were there, they matched skin colors and hair. Their hair was identical. They loved that girl. They were taking that girl. And with this illegal paperwork they give, with this illegal paperwork that you don't care about, Elise Pugh, that she just keeps the same social worker, Jessica Bridges, the same social worker that gave this illegal paperwork, that did this to Erica Anderson, that hurt this girl. And she keeps her here in our county and doesn't care. Jessica Bridges gives these papers. She had it readily available, this illegal paperwork, and it caused more than a child being snatched away. It caused a girl to be abused, neglected, and exploited. And I can't get this reported because DSS is so overpowered. Man, they might as well be the police. They can do more than the police at this point. And so I urge everybody to talk to the senator and ask, why can't we pass Erica's Law? If the child's got to be taken, somebody needs to go to jail. Right, Mike? Wouldn't you think so? We got other veterans up here that say, why is my child taken? Why was their child taken? That's abuse on them kids, man. You don't need to take them away from their parents unless you got some proof, unless you're sure. And so right now, to combat your DSS child trafficking, I think Erica's Law would protect the parents and the children. And get this social worker, Jessica Bridges, why is she so untouchable? She used the paperwork to cause all this. Why is she back? You got no answers for me, man, and you always never have.
Okay, our next card is from Russ Olson.
Good evening, commissioners, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me a few minutes to speak. Thanks to our current commissioners for their service to our community, and congratulations to the 2 new members who will be joining you, Larry and Laura. I value and respect your willingness to take on this important and onerous task. This evening, I want to honor and express my gratitude to Steve Morris for his remarkable 12 years of service to our county. His unwavering commitment and tireless efforts have left an indelible mark on our community. Steve, your journey has been one of perseverance and dedication. As the Apostle Paul wrote in 2 Timothy, I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Steve, you exemplified these words through your steadfast leadership and unwavering faith in the betterment of our county. Your tenure has been marked by countless achievements and a deep commitment to serving the people. Those on the sidelines cannot imagine, much less understand, the investment you have made of precious personal resources, emotion, energy, friendships, pride, talent, and time. You have been a beacon of integrity, always putting the needs of our community first, often in the face of opposition. Your vision and hard work paved the way for progress and prosperity, and for that, we are grateful. Though the primary election earlier this year did not yield the outcome we had hoped for, it did not diminish the impact of your unselfish service. As stated in Galatians 6:9, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. You did not give up. The term lame duck is not in your vocabulary, and you have kept pounding. Your legacy will inspire and guide us as we move forward. God's not done with you yet, Steve, and I feel your journey of public responsibility is far from over. Steve, please accept my profound appreciation for your good and faithful stewardship. God bless America. God bless the United States, and protect our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, and I apologize. We discourage applause with the number of speakers that we have. Our next card is from Jackie Whitfield.
Good evening. I'm Jackie Whitfield, and Chairman Steve and members of the Board of County Commissioners, it's my privilege to stand before you. I stand here tonight to thank Steve. As a native son of this county and an elected official, you, Steve, have worked diligently with others to lead our county to become a striving and beautiful place to live, work, and play. You listen, and you bring people and resources together to solve problems and to create positive results. Under your leadership, industries have come to Cabarrus County. Parks and greenways have been built and improved. Libraries have been built. New schools and replacement schools have been built and serve a multitude of our children. The towns in our Cabarrus County have been reborn after the loss of the textile industry, and we are beginning to thrive. The courthouse has been doubled in size. EMS, hospital, mental health services have all been expanded. Publications and media throughout the United States say Cabarrus County is a top place to live. On a personal note, I would like to thank you for being the voice and the advocate for the young child. When a small group of concerned citizens came to you regarding the dire circumstances and services of some of our most vulnerable children in this community, you worked with federal and state officials and concerned citizens to improve that situation. You formed public-private partnerships to address the child care desert which was and is an important issue to bringing people and industry to this county. You were a devoted member of the Cabarrus County Partnership for Children and an advocate for the Early Education Task Force. You are a beacon of light for our children, and our children are the future of this county. Steve, your love, dedication to this county is appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And our next speaker is Kim Jackson.
Good evening. I'm Kim Jackson. I'm the Director of Elder Orphan Care. We exist to provide help and hope for older adults who are aging alone or without adequate assistance. And I'm here this evening to ask you to consider the reallocation of the ARPA funds, that they would be placed in the hands of the nonprofits. We were so grateful to receive a large amount of money that we were able to spend quite well over a 2-year period. We had hoped that it would last 3 years, but our mobile pantry was delivering groceries to older adults at the end of the month, right before their Social Security check hits. And most of you buy groceries, and you know that those funds, those groceries, were more and more expensive. So we have clients who are living on under $1,000 a month, and their rent is $600, and they were pretty excited to be able to receive groceries, household supplies, and incontinence supplies every month. And when we were asked, because we successfully expended those early grant funds, to reapply for some reallocation rather, we were thrilled. And we applied for $150,000 one tier, $100,000 a second tier. It looks like we made the list for about $45,000. And I just want to tell you that we would be delighted to receive that, so that we could help our older adults who are aging alone continue to have some nutrition and some of these supplies that are not available through Medicare or Medicaid, some of the food pantries. Our people, most of them don't drive. The few that do probably shouldn't. And so it's hard for them to get to these necessary supplies. When we had the awful news to tell them that our money had run out, to a person, they said, you know what, we would give back all those groceries, all those supplies, just to have met your staff with Elder Orphan Care, the volunteers, the relationships that we have. And so all of those relationships have continued. That would be a great day if we could have some of those funds to restart our mobile pantry, so that we could better serve some of these older adults that have served our community for so well and for so long, but now find themselves in harm's way. I'm guessing that all of us here are growing older. If you have a special sauce and you are growing younger, then let me know. But let's honor these people, and if you could find a way to give us those reallocated funds, I give you my pledge as Director of Elder Orphan Care to spend them well to the benefit of our older adults here in Cabarrus County.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Tree Tang.
Good evening, Commissioners and Mr. Downs. I am Tree Tang. I am the Chair of the 2024 Board of Directors for the Chamber, leading business in Cabarrus. I am here tonight to read this resolution of appreciation from our Board of Directors. Whereas Steve Morris has provided over a decade of steadfast leadership on the Cabarrus Board of County Commissioners, guiding the county through a period of economic growth and community development. And whereas during his tenure on the Board of County Commissioners, new businesses committed to more than $3.5 billion in capital investments in Cabarrus County, significantly expanding opportunities for residents through job creation and wage growth. And whereas since he joined the Board of County Commissioners in 2012, more than 7,000 jobs were created, and the average wage in Cabarrus County grew from $35,000 to $47,000 a year. And whereas the success resulted from the pro-business policies supported by him and enacted by the board. And whereas his leadership extends throughout the county, the community beyond his role as an elected official, and includes service as the past chair of the Kannapolis Chamber of Commerce, the predecessor organization to this organization. And whereas his leadership also includes service as president of the Kannapolis Economic Development Corporation, chairman of the board of the Red Cross of Cabarrus County, and service on the board of the Cabarrus Economic Development Corporation, United Way of the Central Carolinas, and others too numerous to name. And whereas his commitment to infrastructure development, education, and workforce training initiatives has further solidified Cabarrus County's position as a leader in economic opportunity and quality of life. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Board of Directors of the Chamber, leading businesses in Cabarrus, thank and honor Chairman Steve Morris for his invaluable service, lasting contribution, and unwavering dedication to Cabarrus County, recognizing that his leadership both on and off of the Board of County Commissioners has left a profound and positive impact on the community. Thank you, Commissioner Morris. Mr. Furr, we thank you and appreciate your service as you retire off the board. Mr. Meismer, Mr. Shu, Mr. Wortman, we look forward to working with you in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Megan Bumgarner.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Megan Bumgardner, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, Mr. Morris. I've volunteered for this county for, let's just say, a really long time at this point. And as a volunteer, you always made me feel seen and heard and appreciated. And that is invaluable as someone who dedicates their time and energy for the betterment of this county. But that's just one of the ways that you have been a very thoughtful leader during your tenure. You are thoughtful in the way you listen to people. Anyone in this county, it does not matter what they look like, where they come from, or their political affiliation. You were willing to listen to what they had to say without condescension, without judgment, and you were truly willing to hear them. You are thoughtful in your words. You understand that as a public figure, your words have great meaning. You are slow to speak and even slower to anger, and you have always used your words wisely. But most importantly, you're thoughtful in your action. An issue that faced the county, you picked it up, you turned it over, you looked at it from all sides. You listened to people, even if their opinions were different than yours. You spoke with people to try to gain the education that you needed, and only after thorough, thoughtful, and careful deliberation did you make a decision that you thought was in the best interest of the county as a whole. Because this has never been about you. You have truly been a public servant. And all of your thoughtfulness and your service to this county for so many years has not gone unnoticed, and it is very much appreciated. I thank you, and you will be missed.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Cheryl Kluge.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Downs and Commissioners. My name is Cheryl Kluge, and I am the Executive Director of One Can Organization, and I am here to urge you to consider the allocation of the ARPA funds to the local nonprofits. Although you may feel that the first grant should have us all set, unfortunately, due to inflation, we need funding more than ever. With groceries, gas, and rent skyrocketing over the past 2 years and no increase to income, the result is over 400 homeless students, 3.5 evictions a day, and 40% of our residents cost burdened, which means they cannot afford all their basic monthly expenses. The need is substantial here in Cabarrus County, and we do not anticipate that changing anytime soon. One Can has provided over 40,000 pounds of food this year. We also provided 7,000 snack bags to Cabarrus County and Kannapolis City Schools for the 23-24 school year, and so far for this school year, we have provided over 3,000. In addition, we have provided 500 food bags to Cabarrus Health Alliance's harm reduction program and 2,000 bags to Meals on Wheels for their clients who unfortunately live with that one meal a day that's provided by Meals on Wheels, giving them more food. Due to inflation costs, our costs have also increased. For example, this simple jar of peanut butter was $1.29 last year. It is now $1.79, which costs us an additional $1,800 a year to provide this one item in our blessing boxes. In addition, all of the 24+ items we provide in our 10 blessing boxes have also increased. We have taken steps to offset these costs, such as holding 16 food drives this year, and we have 20 scheduled for 2025. We have also worked with area companies, schools, and clubs to collect additional items. It just is not enough to meet for what we need to continue to make the positive impact we are making on the lives of Cabarrus residents. If awarded, 100% of our funding will go to provide food and hygiene items to the following Cabarrus residents: hardworking families that do not qualify for assistance that still need help making ends meet, the retired school teacher living on that one meal a day from Meals on Wheels, the child that is going home to a hotel room with no food. I thank you for your time, and I urge you to consider giving us our funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is James Bailey.
Thank you, Board, for the opportunity to speak. First, I want to congratulate those who won the election and will be serving as our county commissioners moving forward. Just note from myself, I 100% support the board and will do what I can to support the citizens of Cabarrus County. First, I want to thank Tim for serving. I know he's probably grateful to have that term expire and get off to doing some more personal things. So, again, thank you for stepping up and filling that role. Next, I want to thank Chairman Morris for his 12 years of service to the county. You know, often in life we find ourselves treated poorly, and often we as human beings react poorly in return. But you've never acted that way, at least in any way that could be interpreted as anything other than honorable. You've been maligned, denigrated, and even had your religion called into question at one meeting that I watched. Yet, as the human being that you are, you have acted with class and always having respect for others. Most in this room probably only know a small portion of the things that you have personally endured over the years. There are a few times, if any, when we all agree about decisions made by others, especially true in politics. While I may not have agreed with your stance on an issue, I didn't go the route of public persecution. Instead, I expressed my opinion and held my position, always knowing that you were doing what you thought was right, even when I may have disagreed. I knew you, and I knew that you were basing your decisions on what you thought were in the best interest of everyone. See, so often we never look outside of our own bubbles. We may live in an area where our problems do not reflect the problems of others within our county. For example, the issues facing the Reimer community often don't align with those of Harrisburg's. That is the nature of Cabarrus County, and why I trusted that you were making a decision based on the whole and not a specific person or group. As an example, I specifically recall the reworking of the firearms ordinance several years ago. I knew at that time that was not an issue that necessarily was personal to you, But we spoke about the issue with the then existing ordinance and how the proposed changes would affect others, including the citizens and law enforcement. At that time, the existing ordinance was loosened. Was very muddled. It was confusing to enforce. And part of the proposal was to loosen those restrictions and clear up any confusion on the part of the citizens or law enforcement. There was opposition to that change, but you voted in favor of it again, even though it was not a personal issue with you. Opposition voices can be loud, but you were steadfast in your belief that it was for the greater good. I encourage the new board to look beyond your bubbles and work for all of Cabarrus County. You can do this and still hold to your conservative values. As a conservative myself and a Christian, I hold on to my core values, yet I try to see the other side of things. As a citizen of Cabarrus County, thank you for your service, and this board is much appreciated for the things you do.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Brian Rabin.
Good evening, Board. I just want to say thank you for what you do for Cabarrus County. I am the lead pastor of Hope Chapel, 1540 Old Earnhardt Road in Kannapolis. I'm here today to try to get you guys to maybe consider us another year for the Cabarrus Recovery Grants. We have a ministry, Hands of Hope, that we started last year. We've been doing it now for about a year. We have provided 7,500 hot meals every Thursday at 6 o'clock to the citizens of Cabarrus County. And we desperately need these funds to continue. We're working on stability, and we have a lot of things that we have. We have facility, we have team, we have the place, we have the kitchen, but the food is the one stability that we're trying to work with Second Harvest and some of these others. Funding for the next year would really help us get that last piece to be able to continue to we feed all kinds of folks. It's a drive-through model where people drive through, they start lining up about 5 o'clock in our parking lot, and we feed everybody from elderly couples to veterans to single parents. We feed the homeless. We feed anybody that comes up and needs a hot meal. If you would consider that, that would be a blessing to the community. 100% of whatever you give will go to food, and then everything else, utilities, everything else will be covered by Hope Chapel. Also, I know that in our meeting that we had with the county about 6 months ago, we were told that food is the number one crisis that the county is facing. We are excited to be able to maybe help mitigate that, but we do need you guys to consider, if you would, to help us one more year. I want to say thank you to your staff. They've been wonderful to work with. They have been very helpful, and we hope that you guys would help us to get to a place of stability. And we feel like in 1 year we'll have the food hopefully figured out. So thank you guys so much, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Valerie Melton.
Good evening, Commissioners and Mr. Downs. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Valerie Melton. I'm the Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club of Cabarrus County. I want to take a moment to express my deep appreciation for the support you've already provided through ARPA funding and the Cabarrus Recovery Grants. These funds have been critical in helping our organization continue to serve youth and families across the county, especially through times of uncertainty. I'm here today to speak to you about the vital role the Boys and Girls Club plays in our community and the urgent need to continue funding programs that directly impact the well-being of our youth. Our Meal Box program is one of those key programs providing essential food to families each week. The Meal Box program provides necessary food to up to 150 families each week. These meal boxes are more than just a supplement than a supplement, they are often the primary source of food for children and their families over the weekend when school meals and our after-school programs are not functioning. For some of these kids, the meal box is what ensures that they won't go hungry from Friday to Monday. I hope you will consider additional funding through the ARPA relocation funds for the program. The Boys and Girls Club made good use of the initial funds allocated by Cabarrus County, and we still have critical needs to address. These funds would allow us to continue our meal box program that was supported by the original ARPA funds. We're requesting $48,000 to provide weekend meal boxes for up to 150 families during the 24-25 school year, $4,000 to provide daily snacks for over 900 children in our summer program, and $48,000 for up to 150 meal boxes per week during the 2025-26 school year, for a total request of $100,000 over 2 years. This additional funding could provide 11,500 meal boxes to up to 150 families and 15,000 snacks during the summer program. These items impact 1,700 children annually. The Boys and Girls Club of Cabarrus County has consistently delivered on its mission to provide safe, supportive, and life-changing programs for youth in our community. We are committed to ensuring that every child we serve has the resources they need to succeed. The meal box and snack programs are an extension of that mission, addressing food insecurity, which is a fundamental barrier to the success for many of the children we serve. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Chris Cranston.
Chris has entered the kitchen, so let's get to cooking. Good evening to my fellow Cabarrus County citizens. To those of you listening, I thank you. You obviously care. Please consider joining our over 950 other concerned citizens on Facebook, Cabarrus County Citizens Against Tax Hikes and for Government Transparency. Whereas, I find myself here today in utter disbelief. It's almost as if you board members go into the back and think of ways to prove me right, to ensure even my worst interpretations and predictions of your movements and behaviors are proven true. Self-awarded trophies and fat cat salaries aren't enough. 401k with annual bonuses aren't enough. Pensions, healthcare until death, not enough. No way, not on Workman and Shoes watch. They will name buildings after their hero, even after the sponsors of the building fired him. In your three minds, which work as one, it's always the voter, the taxpayer, who needs to be educated. It's we the people whose opinions are in the minority, and that would be proven if you could just get more folks to vote. It must be a wonderful way to go through life, lying to yourself and anyone who will listen. Y'all three dudes need to understand our voices will no longer be muted, censored, or dismissed. Your asinine policies that only discourage public participation are over. The law will rule the land now. You circumvent the state-level policies, pushing through your overzealous mad dash spending spree on your way out the door. Your addiction to spending our money is rearing its ugly head to everyone not on the receiving end. It's obvious as hell to those of us paying and not taking. I doubt you can even see the excrement on your faces. Just for the permanent record, when Steve was seated, our county's annual budget was $215 million with very little debt and money's in reserve. Today, on his way out, our budget has ballooned to over $500 million, 137% increase. Isn't the growth beautiful, Stevie? Too bad the population only grew by 30%. Too bad the $4 billion you put on paper wasn't enough to cover the corporate welfare you gave away. 85% tax-free giveaways if you're a corporation. Double your payment if you're just a citizen. Too bad corporations can't vote. Too bad you're hard on for forcing little girls to pee and shower in front of little boys isn't enough. Your endorsements of Democrats to ensure your spending spree goes unchecked comes at a very high cost. Workman and Shoe will not protect our children or even our wallets, folks. They need to be made aware the rule is over. They will have to sit in the parking lot of the Steve Morris Mental Health Facility and wait for it to open so they can get the counseling they desperately need. And I'll pay for that. I strongly encourage you, Steve Morris, to exit stage left and be satisfied. Do not attempt more tomfoolery with Shoe's seat in your own. Please show some class on your final hour. Take your name off the building. Vote no. Show some humility and understand there's tens of thousands more deserving. Men and women who have literally died for us. And only you three think that Morris is more deserving. Maybe those you enrich also agree. Hasta luego, Trianos.
Okay, our next speaker is Wes Honeycutt.
West Honeycutt, Midland. I think folks that know me know that I'm not shy about having an unpopular opinion. I don't mind if I'm the only one that thinks a way. If I'm convicted that something's right, I'll stand up and say it. And I will say, as it relates to you, Steve, whenever I've seen the different things that have happened over the years and have heard different viewpoints, I do take a step back and I ask if I've not given you a fair shake. I had a conversation with Commissioner Wortman this past week, and I trust that when he has more time than I do, if I misstate something, he'll correct it. But one of the things I asked him point blank is I remember when he was running for the commission that he blamed you for closing the fair. I blame you for closing the fair, and I don't think that you were alone. But I asked him, because I feel like he walks through things similar that I do with his research and whatnot, how we seem to come to vastly different conclusions at times. And so I asked him about that specific event. And in a nutshell, I think that he got more comfortable with it not being all your fault because there were a lot of people involved. I think EMS, the fire department, the county manager, the other county commissioners, many of you were on the board at the time, we're all part of that. I mean, here's why I'll tell you that I can't get on board with it. Because during that time, what we did to our kids when the fair was shut down, when we were putting caution tape around the playgrounds at parks, where we were putting masks on them for hours a day, where we were keeping them from their friends, what we did to their mental health, what people like you did in leadership roles, which was nothing, keep the status quo, that did more damage to their mental health than anything I can think of in my lifetime. And that's why when we do something like vote to name the Behavioral Health Center after you, I can't get on board with it. You see, I don't doubt that you spent time procuring funds and whatnot, but there was an opportunity there. There was an opportunity to stand up and say no, say this ain't right, say this is costing us something, say that there's more threats than just threats to our physical health. But I didn't see that. I mean, county manager, you were in on that too. Mr. Shue, you were on the board at that time too. And you're not alone. The majority sat idly by while just a few naysayers like me would not go away. But I want you to know that I do take a step back and I try to think about stuff and I try to be fair. And that gives you a little insight into my thought process. And I got 3 seconds left. So, thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Jack Lambert.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. Downs, Ms. Linker. Appreciate your time tonight and letting me speak and address this body. I'm not coming to you as the chairman of a nonprofit, as a former candidate for commissioner, or as a member of the boards and committees that I serve on. I'm simply coming as a resident of Cabarrus County, as a tax-paying citizen, and someone who cares about what's going on in our community. When I ran for commissioner, I made it a very specific point not to use this platform to promote myself. So in that same spirit, I want to turn it and do a little bit different, and I want to focus on each of you and pay each of you a compliment. Thank you, Commissioner Furr, for your willingness to step up and serve when you didn't have to. Thank you, Commissioner Wortman, for your thorough research and willingness to lay out the facts, and thank you for your friendship. Thank you, Mr. Downs, for being a phenomenal county leader. The staff respects and admires you. You've done a fantastic job. Thank you, Commissioner Shue, for being a true statesman. Your career on this board and the others you've served on is one you'll be able to look back upon fondly. Commissioner Meismer, it's no secret you and I don't agree on everything, but I appreciate your willingness to stand up for what you believe in and stick to your guns, and I appreciate the respectful way you deal with your fellow board members. It's looking like you're going to become in a higher position of power in the next term. I only ask that you do right by the citizens because they deserve it. In the time I have left, I waited to go to Commissioner Morris for a reason, because 3 minutes simply could not do justice to the amount of gratitude that I personally have and the citizens of this county have for your service. Cabarrus County is one of the premier places, not just in the state of North Carolina, but in the entire country, for people to live and to work. And that is in no small part because of your visionary leadership. $3 billion in investment have been generated for this county under your decade plus as chairman of the Board of Commissioners. I am personally grateful to you for your friendship. I'm grateful that you endorsed me to serve on this Board of Commissioners when we ran in the primary. If the primary election was held again today, like I did in March, I cast a vote for myself and I cast a vote for you. If that election was held again tonight, I have no problem doing the exact same. The citizens of this county are without question better off because of your leadership. You have been a thoughtful and thorough leader. You have sat here month after month and faced criticism from people who have never sat down and had a conversation with you, and you've taken it on the chin, and that takes a real man to do that. I'm grateful for you, and I'm grateful for all of you and your service to this board. Thank you, Commissioner Morris. You will be missed. I look forward to whatever you do next.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Karen Cobb.
Good evening. My name is Karen Cobb, and I'm a lifelong resident of Cabarrus County. I'm not here tonight to ask for anything, and I'm not here to complain. I'm here to say thank you to each and every one of you for your service on the County Commission. Because I've lived in Cabarrus County all of my life, I've had the chance to get to know, to work beside, and have conversations with every one of you. Serving on a county commission is not a job. It is definitely a calling. It's a responsibility to our community and to the families, the businesses and organizations that make Cabarrus County a vibrant and thriving place. The impact of the work that you do is felt throughout our county every single day. Your leadership, your vision, and dedication to our community have helped shape the present and will continue to guide our future. Whether through making tough decisions, addressing complex challenges, or working tirelessly to ensure the needs of all of our residents are met, your commitment has not gone unnoticed. Working with the county manager and the county employees, all of whom are exemplary, you are stewards of our resources. You're advocates for growth and development, and champions for the well-being of every person who lives in this county. We've seen our schools grow and improve. We've seen our infrastructure to grow and our local economy flourish because of the decisions and the hard work that all of you all have put in. You've helped create an environment where businesses thrive and people feel supported and valued. To Tim Furr and to Steve Morris, who are concluding their time on this commission, I especially thank you for your service. You've made a positive difference, sometimes in ways big and visible, and sometimes in quiet yet profound ways that will resonate for generations to come. Your commitment has truly made Cabarrus County a better place for all of us, and it's a place that I'm proud to call my home.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Laura Lyerly Milliken.
Thank you, Commissioners. As a Cabarrus County native, each of your work makes us proud to live here and work here. I come to you tonight as the Executive Director of the Community Free Clinic. I also want to thank each of you for taking my phone call and listening to a few words that I wanted to share about the Community Free Clinic. Through the work of ARPA, we were able to increase our hours of service for the underserved and uninsured here in Cabarrus County from 27 hours per week to 36 hours per week. Since the ARPA funds were originally allocated, we were able to not only double but almost triple our patient population. We are proud to be in year 30 of serving Cabarrus County as the only free clinic here in Cabarrus County, and also the hub of the Cabarrus Health Net. As you may know, Cabarrus County is a health professional shortage area that's federally recognized. Through that, I can't just take any volunteer off the street to bring them in to be a provider, to be able to diagnose diabetes or heart disease. And unfortunately, during COVID, as we all know, there was a sincere medical burnout involved with COVID. Unfortunately, we just don't have the volunteers we used to have. Based on our typical patient load, less than 5% are seen by volunteer providers. I have to pay a clinic director as well as an advanced practice provider to be able to provide services to the uninsured here in Cabarrus County. Again, I'd like to thank you for the allocation we have, but I would also ask that you potentially reconsider some staffing hours, because we provide direct service with those hours. So that is direct service from patient to provider with that overhead. No administrative costs were included in my ask for the reallocation funds. So again, thank you, Mr. Morris and Mr. Furr, for your service as you conclude, and all of you for everything you do for our county.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Thomas Coley Alley.
Corbett.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. My name is Corey Alley. I'm a resident here in Cabarrus County since 1990. Went to Wolf Meadow Elementary School, J.N. Free, Central Cabarrus, graduated at UNC Charlotte. It is incredible to be a part of this city, to be a part of this county. To see what has happened over the last 34 years is miraculous, in my opinion. Steve, I want to thank you for giving me a shot 5 years ago when the pandemic hit and our church got kicked out of the school. You were willing to allow me to come into the movie theater at that time, and I just want to say thank you for being willing to do that. You touched my heart. I'm sorry to see you go. You've done a great work here in this city. I am the pastor of a church called Sojo Church that meets right down the road on Union Street, and I am here today as a founder of a nonprofit to speak on behalf of all of these nonprofits that are here today. As a founder of an organization and knowing the value that our nonprofits bring to our city and our county, we desperately need to do whatever we can to support them. And I know that as a board member of OneCan, I would like to ask you guys to reinstate the ARPA funds, not just for OneCan, but for every single one of these organizations who are here to serve the people of our county, from the youngest to the oldest. Thank you guys for what you do, and I hope you guys please consider to help these nonprofits in their future endeavors.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Mike Coleman.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Mike Coleman. I'm here tonight to commend and pay Steve Morris an exceptional thank you for his exceptional dedication and service over the last 12 years. Steve has been transformative in leading this county over the past years, and the long-lasting impacts of progress and prosperity that he'll leave his footprint on. Steve has constantly shown a strong leadership, guiding the county through tough challenges with clear vision. His talent for bringing people together and fostering teamwork and supporting initiatives have been very beneficial for everyone in our community. Steve is also champion for promoting economic development, supporting local businesses such as myself, advancing educational initiatives, and improving community services. His tireless efforts have ensured that Cabarrus County is a vibrant place to live, work, and thrive. Steve's decisions, as well as your decisions as a board, have always been to ensure transparency, which earns you respect within our community. Tonight, we want to celebrate not just a leader, but a true public servant. Steve's unwavering commitments to make Cabarrus County a better place. Your legacy and service moving forward and the impact that you've had on this community is greatly appreciated. The incoming members of this board, I urge you to put your personal differences aside, move forward in unity and collaboration. By working together with a mutual respect, we can continue the progress and meet the expectations of the people that we serve here in Cabarrus County. Once again, thank you, Steve, for your exceptional dedication and visionary leadership, and we will deeply grateful for all that you have done, and your contributions will not be forgotten. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Cynthia Plott.
Cynthia Plott, Concord. Good evening. I want to do something kind and supportive for Steve Morris, so I wrote this message to thank him for 12 years of choosing to serve our community. I'd like to thank him for his dedication to mental health in our community. Don't listen to people, Steve. You deserve this honor. I hate seeing the way this man has been treated, forced to endure SBI investigation over people's lies about him, told he will not be saved by God when he wasn't even allowed to respond and defend himself. His adversaries take photos of his private residence to post online, attacking him and actually complaining that even though they have persistently antagonized him, he did not decorate his yard to give them free advertising. I asked the two candidates angry that Steve Morris endorsed their opponent in the election after the way you have treated him, are you actually surprised he didn't want to endorse you? Why do you have the audacity to attack him for not praising you after your nonstop petty insults? Steve doesn't owe you anything, especially after your behavior, and the way he just ignores you is something to be admired. Steve, you live in a world where you probably assume you can't trust most people. You can trust me. I have always been and always will be honest with you. You have been professional even in the face of these attacks. Your response speaks for itself. You do not sink to a level of petty bickering or online arguing. Whether people agree with your decisions or not, it would be hard to deny that your behavior demonstrates class and self-control, things very rare in our world. I wish no harm on you and only the best blessings in the new chapters of your life. You have had to make difficult decisions, and it is impossible to please everyone, especially extremists. People have a right to dislike you, but they are not able to condemn you. Only the Lord has that power. Your enemy asked for forgiveness immediately before doing this, implying he knew it was wrong and he shouldn't say it, but he either chooses to or can't control his emotions. It was inappropriate, melodramatic, and did not even get him or his supporters what they wanted that night. Steve, only God knows your heart. These people, blinded by their hatred of you, have absolutely no idea what is in your heart. You seem like a very good person who got into public service with the intention of helping people. Meeting you has been a privilege. I'm not going to pretend most people are as intelligent as you, have accomplished as much as you, or have done a fraction of what you have done for our community. You deserve credit. People like you are once in a lifetime. I have never met anyone like you. I hope to one day have a longer conversation with you. I began attending these meetings in March and noticed you never smile here. You deserve to smile, and when you do, it lights up an entire room. I hope you smile every day in your future. If someone were to ask me what behavior of yours I admire most, it would be difficult to choose just one thing, but I'd have to say how professional and strong you are. Everyone doesn't hate you. The ones who do just live in an echo chamber. Most of the county did not even vote in the primary, but of those who did, it was a very close race. God bless you, and thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes all of the cards that we have.
Chairman Morris?
Yes, sir.
If it's okay with this board, I would like to make a public comment, but I would like to do it down there and have the timer start. The reason it is from down there is because we've had a lot of nonprofits speak tonight. There was one that could not attend and emailed the comments to me, so I'd like to be held by the same timer that everybody else was held for. This will be
Certainly.
This will be for Habitat for Humanity on behalf of Erica Vaughn. So I'd like to be held to the same 3 minutes that everybody else was
And
held.
you can do that from up here or down there, whichever you prefer. Okay.
On behalf of Erica Vaughn from Habitat for Humanity, Habitat Cabarrus transforms lives and our community by uniting all of Cabarrus County around the cause of safe, decent, affordable housing for everyone. Habitat Cabarrus strives to be an organization of excellence and collaborates with the community to mobilize resources and eliminate substandard housing in Cabarrus County. Habitat Cabarrus is the only nonprofit in Cabarrus County that solely focuses on affordable housing solutions, specifically for those that fall in the 30 to 60% AMI as designated by HUD. Our programs include new home construction and critical home repairs. It says currently in Cabarrus County, approximately 1 in 4 households are cost burdened, paying more than 27% of their income for housing. According to the recent NC Housing Coalition study, an income of $62,120 per year is needed to afford the fair market rent of $1,554 per month. That's an increase of 15% in the last year and 51% in the last 5 years. Our current mortgages range from $450 to $700 a month. Habitat Cabarrus is supported by grants, donor-designated funds, funding through events, charitable giving through our local churches, businesses, and foundation. Habitat Cabarrus is committed to building 5 new homes over the course of the next 2 years. Habitat Cabarrus currently has 10 future homeowners fully qualified for the home ownership program. In addition to the new home builds, they also do critical home repairs. Habitat Cabarrus has been performing critical repairs for many years. Each year, the need for critical home repairs increases, with 50% of those who apply and are approved being either elderly or disabled. For several years, Habitat Cabarrus has worked closely with the City of Kannapolis, one of our county municipalities, to provide critical repairs for its homeowners. In 2020, Habitat Cabarrus expanded its partnership with the City of Concord and Cabarrus County government to perform critical home repairs as well. The collaboration with our county and local municipalities increases the number of completed repairs performed, as well as creates a streamlined process to prevent duplication or overlapping of services. Our critical home repair clients must fall below the 50% AMI. In addition, the home must be owner-occupied. We do not do work on rental properties. Requests are reviewed on a first qualified, first served basis as funding allows once the project is deemed a critical repair. On average, we receive 3 to 4 inquiries a week. And to qualify for a Habitat Cabarrus home, each adult in the household must perform 250 sweat equity hours working on building the homes of other future homeowners and their own home. In addition, there is also a requirement for future homeowners to attend and participate in financial literacy training to ensure they are equipped with the necessary tools to become a successful homeowner. Habitat Cabarrus offers an affordable 30-year mortgage, averaging approximately $700 a month before taxes and insurance. Habitat Cabarrus is not giving away free homes. We are offering a hand up.
Great, thank you. Okay, that concludes all of our public comments. We move now to approval of our consent agenda. You all have a copy of those items before you. These are all items that were discussed at our work session 2 weeks ago. As was noted when we approved the agenda, item number 10, which would be F10, has been removed from consent and added to new business. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. And we move now to new business. First item is Fred L. Wilson Agency and Lease Agreements, and Deputy County Manager Kelly Sifford will update us on that item.
Thank you. These are the standard lease and agency agreements that go with the properties that we own and the schools are operating. Those are ones that we own based on the debt on the property. This will serve as collateral for the debt package, and that is what this is for tonight.
Right, and that Fred L. Wilson is currently undergoing some expansion.
Correct. There is a addition going on that property currently.
Great. Okay, Commissioners, does anyone have any questions about that item?
Let me ask about the addition. How many classrooms are they gaining from that?
I can't remember off the top of my head. It's, I want to say 16, but don't quote me on that. It's been a little bit since I looked at that. It has, I believe, a new media center and some, I think Steve's got the information looking at it.
The new media center is in with the addition, is that correct?
I believe it's just going to change the flow of the school to make it a little more efficient. Currently, they do not have enough classrooms. They are using their media space currently for some of the smaller activities with classrooms. So this will serve some of the special education type activities.
Yeah, the information that I have here says the addition currently under construction will add 16 classrooms, small offices, and smaller classrooms for specialized education services, and move the media center to accommodate a more orderly traffic flow throughout the facility. The addition is in response to rapid student growth in the area. Despite an addition constructed in the early 2000s, the facility is overcrowded. There are no available classrooms, and staff is currently using the media center at times for classroom space. Furthermore, the Fred L. Wilson Elementary School zone currently has 796 additional approved housing sites. Kannapolis City Schools only has 4 elementary schools in the district, so redistricting will not solve the problem. Finally, the Fred L. Wilson Elementary School is a dual language and global studies magnet school that will increase in student population due to the popularity of the magnet program. The addition should help accommodate additional growth and reduce overcrowding.
Good information. I know we have discussed this project in the past, but
yes,
I could not recall. We have discussed so many projects.
We have
I couldn't
discussed a
recall
lot of
exactly
projects.
what was in
Quite
the
a few.
addition. So,
yes.
all right.
Okay.
Any other questions on this item? Okay, if there are no other questions, then I would entertain a motion to approve the agency and lease agreements as presented.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. We now move to the new business items that were added to the agenda. The first item is regarding the public safety training facility. I'm not sure how much background information that we have on that, but over the past several years, Cabarrus County has acquired property from the state of North Carolina, which includes Frank Lisk Park and several hundred acres adjacent to it. On one of those tracts of land, which we do have, I think I've got some maps, and I think Lauren has a map that can be put up on the screen if you want to pass those down. Did y'all get maps? The particular track that we're talking about is adjacent to Stow Road. The maps are a little bit, they were a little bit difficult for me to read and understand, but on the very far left at the center is the tract of land in question that has a smaller frontage on Stow Road and then gets wider as it goes back. That is an 11-acre tract that has been discussed as part of the joint discussions to build a public safety training facility to serve the entire county. In those discussions, there were some special needs of the city of Concord that they desired to go ahead with now, and those are labeled there's a storage building there, some additional classrooms, and they had some interest in some some other purposes. That was to be a part of the overall whole plan. We had included that public safety training facility in our draw program that was to be approved by the local government commission about 6 months ago, 5 or 6 months ago, when those rules were changed and they indicated that they did not want to utilize the draw program. That project was not far enough along to meet the requirements of permits and bids and so forth that were required. So we dropped that off the list. Certainly it's something that I hope will come up in the future because it is something that is very needed in the county. And that is a collaborative project between our municipalities and the county as well. The city of Concord had already included in their budget for this year these items that they wanted to build on this property. So my proposal would be that we go ahead and transfer that 11-acre tract of land to the city of Concord so they can go ahead with their project. The balance of that one tract is, I think there's about 100 additional acres there, about 90 of those acres that are developable, which will be for the future public safety training facility. You can see on the map there's some skid pads and other things that would be located there, as well as a shooting range and various things that they need for training.
Yes.
And so I will call on, I think Attorney Cook is online with us virtually. I know that there are some statutory requirements on, depends on whether it's the lease or a purchase, but I wanted to see if Rich Cook could to give us some details on the process that we would need to go through to transfer this property to the city.
Before Rich starts, can we put this one on the overhead projector? Because this is
She
something.
had it up just a minute ago.
Well, that's different than
Oh,
what
that's-
we were looking at.
While we're doing that, to be clear, the 11 acres is the developable area. It's actually about 14 acres.
Okay.
They were showing on that the fall zone and the other property, and so they were showing what areas could actually be developed. So it is a little larger than that. So it is about 14 acres.
The fall zone is from the TV tower that's
It's
out there.
in the
guys.
other parcel, that's a crescent-shaped parcel. That, the fall zone is in that one, it's not into this property, but there's, I believe, a little stream and some things in that one, so.
So in the original plan, where we were going to construct the public safety training, and certainly that's something that can happen in the future, did the plan include this original portion, the 11 or 14 acres that you mentioned,
So,
to be turned over to them for this? Was that part of the original plan?
so originally, they had looked at the crescent-shaped piece of property to do some specific buildings that would store just their equipment.
Okay.
That particular parcel, initially, we had looked at a figure-8 test track, like, for them to drive on, but it is not large enough to put that track there to drive at the speeds that they need to drive to do what they need to do. So it's not really usable for that portion. So we have not, at this point, there was no identified use for that specific parcel. And I think Concord would prefer that parcel rather than the other one.
Okay. Now, if we move forward with this, how will this impact our ability to access the property behind? Now, I know that we had discussed the entrance off of Highway 49, I guess for whenever they were going to do the logging of the property.
Yes.
Will we still retain right-of-way through that to be able to access?
Yes, that would be part of our agreement that we would maintain right of way. We will want as many accesses to that property as possible, given the situation, but that one still has the railroad crossing, so it doesn't serve to necessarily be the emergency for the park, because it's the same
Right.
railroad crossing that's on down.
Right, and
But
that
it-
wasn't my suggestion, but it's
Yeah.
just good to,
Just making sure the public understood that. So
Yeah, okay.
it would provide access to the site for, from that side, and because the state does not really want us to take access from the 49 as much as possible. That is a limited access. They're only doing that because it is a public safety facility. But, we would prefer for everybody to come in off of Stow if possible, but we will have that as an option.
yeah, okay. I just wanted to ensure that we retain a right-of-way.
We will
Of
absolutely
course, this
retain it.
initial project that they would be involved in would not involve an exit off of 49. That would be later on when the bigger
Correct. This
project was
portion would
put
just
together.
be, we would have to work out with how much road they built into it. But it would be just accessing that, and it would provide us, I guess, the start to getting in there later on whenever we do have funding to do that.
Yeah, these buildings here are going to be unique to Concord. The orange building there is very similar to what we built out on Cabarrus Avenue to store all of our emergency equipment there, and able to plug in the batteries and everything inside the building and keep them out of the weather until they were ready to go, instead of running up there and then having to charge batteries. So this is solely them, and then they need some additional classroom space so that they can have their academies there as well. So that's what's going to be on that site there. And then once we move into the larger site, then we'll start sharing those facilities as well as sharing the cost on those as well.
Okay. Any other questions before we hear from the attorney? Okay, Rich, can you hear us?
I can, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Pursuant to General Statute 168-274, when it comes to conveying real property or personal property, for that matter, to a different local government, there's no requirement of notice other than that you make it public. So what I did was prepare a contract between the city of Concord and the county to convey that 11-acre tract. Even though it hasn't been surveyed separately, it's in that contract shown as 11 acres to convey it directly to the city, which can be done pursuant, like I say, to that kind of a contract without any other notice, so long as it's for a public purpose. And in that contract, I put a provision that they would improve that road from Stow Road back to the railroad spur, so that there would be access to the back parts of that property that you see there to the right. So that's what the contract shows, and I think you should have a copy of it there. I say there are no additional requirements when you transfer property between local governments. You can do that after you must give notice that you're going to do it, but you have to declare it surplus, and once you do that, you can freely convey it so long as it's for a public purpose. So that's what we've done with reference to the contract documents for this project. Now, it's different for a lease, but when you're conveying it outright, you can do it just this way.
Okay, so, would we need two motions to complete this transaction? I do have a copy of the contract. If anybody wants to see it, looks like a standard real estate thing. Would we need, number one, a motion to declare it surplus and have that approved, and then a second motion as to how we wanted what disposition? Is that correct?
I would recommend that so that it's clear that you conveyed, that you considered it surplus, that the county did not need it for its own purposes.
Right, okay, thank you. And before we move on to do that, let me acknowledge to everybody in the audience that I do realize that I did that in the wrong order. I was supposed to do the item that came off consent agenda first, and I just looked up my page differently, so we'll correct that very shortly. So, Commissioners, you've heard the discussion. This is property that was acquired from the state of North Carolina at no cost to the county. I would propose that, and as a matter of fact, I'll make that in a form of a motion, that we declare the 14-acre tract that was just previously described and is shown on the lease, that piece of property be declared surplus by Cabarrus County. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
I have no issue with transferring the property to the city of Concord. You know, it was a no cost to the property taxpayer of Cabarrus County, and it looks like they can use it. I would ask how long the contract has been printed, because I don't think any of us on this board has seen that.
I think it just got printed today.
It would have been valuable to have that information
Right.
going into this meeting, because I don't know what's in that contract.
Yeah.
And we're being asked to vote on something that we have not read.
Yeah.
So that's my problem with it.
Okay, and the purpose of the timing of that is that just this past week, we were able to clear up the other issues before the Local Government Commission, and which brought about conversations about how we needed to deal with the others. And there is a timing issue with the city. So is there any other discussion?
What is the timing issue with the city?
That they have allocated the funds, they have it in their budget, and they're ready to move forward on the project.
And I understand that. I completely understand that. You know, we go through the budget process and you know, we know exactly what it's like. The issue I have is that none of us up here have read that contract.
Right.
So, as I said, I am all for turning this property over to the city of Concord and happy to do so, but I have a problem with voting on something that none of us up here have been able to read the contract, so.
Did Rich do this contract? Rich?
Yes, I did.
Is there anything since none of us have seen it, is there anything in this contract that's different from any other contract like this we normally do?
Well, we're conveying it without any payment. That's one thing that makes it a little bit different. I mean, we're actually just conveying it or transferring it to the city. The only other thing that's in there, and in the additional considerations, is that they have to use it for a public purpose, as I stated earlier, and also that they will improve the road from Style Road back to the railroad spur, so that there's access from Style Road into those interior parcels.
Okay, any other questions or discussions? If not, we will move to a vote. The motion is to declare this property surplus by Cabarrus County. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Okay, that motion passes 4-1. Then, now that we have declared the property surplus, I would move that we enter into the agreement that has been prepared and examined by the county attorney to convey this piece of property that we just talked about to the city of Concord at no cost to the city. Of course, I think in the contract it provides that they incur any costs that are associated with the transfer. Is that correct, Mr. Cook?
That is correct.
Yeah. And I make that in the form of a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. The floor is open for discussion.
Just have one follow-up question for the attorney. You had mentioned that it is in the language is written in the contract that this could only be used for public use. So City of Concord could not turn around and sell this to a developer, sell it to someone that would build apartment complexes? Am I understanding that accurately?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yes.
And what else is in the contract that we should be aware of that looks like it's a
Well-
few pages?
Well, it is, because it has a lot of standard legalese that you have for a real estate contract. But I think I've highlighted the business terms that would matter to the commission. Most of the rest of it, like I say, is legalese that you would have in a contract to convey real estate in North Carolina.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that, and thank you for that information. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like about 7 pages. So I would just ask in the future that before we're asked to vote on this, I would like to have this in hand to read and understand and evaluate before we're asked to vote on something.
Okay, is there additional discussion or questions? If not, I would call for a vote. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes 4-1. And we will move back now to item G2 with my apologies for skipping over it. That was the item that was removed from the consent agenda, which was Cabarrus Recovery Grants Update. And does anybody want to lead off the discussion on that?
I know we've all talked individually on the phone about this past week. We have gotten quite a few emails and quite a few phone calls in regards to our decision at the work session, and to the nonprofits that I spoke to on the phone. You know, we didn't have all the information I felt at the time. We could have had a lot more. It's probably a decision personally that I felt that I got wrong. I don't know how anybody else feels after finding out the information that we found out. So there is a list of, I think Lauren has it, of the nonprofits. There were 3 that were removed. One of those being CCM, one of those being We Build Concord, and then one of those being Kano Counseling Services. I know that we've expressed our support for both CCM and We Build. They've both been given a significant amount of money this year. CCM, we helped out with the Brown Mill, and We Build, they were given some money, and they also got the revolving loan fund, so that's why they were put at a zero balance to make it more equitable to the other nonprofits. Kano Family Services is they're based out of Mecklenburg, but we also found out today that they serve, as of right now, 7 students out of the entire Cabarrus County schools, and had asked for a significant amount of money, so that's why they were zeroed out as well. That way we can spread it to the rest of those on the list. And again, we've all talked individually. I'm in favor, since we pulled it off the consent, I'm in favor of doing this option to spread that through the nonprofits listed. And with that, I'll leave it to anybody else.
Yeah, and I think to be clear, of course, we did not take action at our work session, but the recommendation that came forward was to move, I think, $73,000 of the funding to Veteran Services to fund Education Foundation's request, and the balance to go towards some county projects. You know, I know that certainly I've heard from most of the organizations on this list. I know that we've all heard from a lot of them, and so the list that's on the screen now, as Commissioner Workman described, the 3 that were eliminated from the list, and then the balance of those on the list, the figures that are shown up there in the far right-hand column allocates an equal percentage to each one of those organizations. And I think that is, we took their request, which had been vetted by staff. There were some questions about personnel expenses, and they dealt with all those issues. And I think that took it down to almost 0.49%. So about 50% of what they requested, that gives equal to each organization. And so it's up to this board to decide how you want to move forward with that. Any? Make a motion.
Well, I was going, we were just talking about it right now, so I didn't.
Yeah. Well, in order to continue discussion, I certainly would be happy to move that we adopt the reallocation of unused ARPA funds as described on the chart on the screen, which can be entered into our minutes with only one change, and that would be to give 3 cents to one of these organizations in addition to what's on there, because that's how it balances except for 3 cents, and staff has been very deliberate that it needs to balance to the penny. So I'm going to step out there and propose that 3 cents goes to 1 can. They're at the top of the list, and Cheryl is here, so yeah, so that'll increase your allocation by 3 cents. That way it will balance for their reporting purposes. So I do make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
Just say thank you to the organizations who come out to speak this evening. I know you do valuable work for our community, and certainly rely mostly on private donations. And you know, this is unusual circumstance with the remaining ARPA funds. So thank you for what you do in the community.
Great. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, then I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you all. And so we will move now to item G4. This was a new item that was added to the agenda. This is regarding a lease of the former Mount Pleasant Library space to the Cabarrus Health Alliance to create health services in the town of Mount Pleasant. To give a little bit of background on that, from a timing standpoint, this is coming up specifically because only just last month did we vacate that space in Mount Pleasant, and had a very well-attended and successful ribbon cutting for a new library, active living center, and park in Mount Pleasant, which by all reports, I'm told that is being very heavily used and enjoyed by the people of Mount Pleasant. The building that the library formerly was in was a building, the property that the building is built on was donated by Dr. Alan Dobson, and I think his family, for the purpose of building a library for the community. After he donated the property, the Friends of the Library and other groups in Mount Pleasant raised money for the construction of the library. And once they, and I think the county was a contributor to that, if I remember correctly, in a minority role, and certainly not like buildings that we would build. But once they raised that money, the building was constructed and it was given to Cabarrus County for Cabarrus County to operate as a library for the town of Mount Pleasant. and so certainly a community purpose. Now that we have vacated that building, the county does own that building. About 3 years ago, dialogue began about bringing health services to Mount Pleasant. This was a need that was expressed by the community. I think at that time, Dr. Bonnie Cole was director of the Cabarrus Health Alliance. The county manager and myself met with her in that facility there at the library about 3 years ago to have that discussion, along with Dr. Dobson was involved in that conversation as well, to see if they might entertain the idea of providing some health services for, and when I say Mount Pleasant, I'm talking about the eastern side of the county, which is certainly much larger than the limits of Mount Pleasant. And so that dialogue began. Mount Pleasant is a medically underserved area as designated by the federal government. Mount Pleasant is considered a health professional shortage area for both medical and dental services as designated by the federal government. There are limited transportation options to services from the eastern part of the county. There are currently no dental options at all in that area of the county. The Health Alliance has been in conversation with the Greater Cabarrus Foundation. They have expressed a desire to help create an endowment to support operations for health services in Mount Pleasant and the eastern part of the county that would be provided by the Cabarrus Health Alliance. They have looked at the building and determined that the building is an ideal size and location to bring services to those that live in the community. The services will include medical, dental, behavioral health, and WIC. Cabarrus Health Alliance will fund the upfit and the maintenance of the facility if it is conveyed by the county. And so what I would propose is that we lease that facility to the Cabarrus Health Alliance for $1 a year. The term of that lease would be for 10 years, and there are some statutory requirements regarding waiting periods and public announcements, and so I'll turn back to the county attorney for some information on that.
Yes, can you, excuse me, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Now, unlike the last matter involving just a conveyance of real estate, when you're doing a lease, the operative statute is 168-272, and that has different requirements when you lease property. You again have to declare it surplus to show that you don't need it yourself. And if it is surplus, then you can lease it under the provisions of that statute. And in this situation, what the statute provides is that you, at one meeting, would announce that you want to lease it and who you're going to lease it to and what the business terms of that lease are. And once you do that, then you have to notice that lease, and then you have to wait 30 days to your next regular meeting before you can actually do a resolution approving the lease. So it's a little different procedure when you're leasing property as opposed to when you outright convey it, as we talked about earlier. So that's the procedure that you may want to start on tonight if you want to approve this lease. It isn't final until the next meeting, but you can announce it that you're willing to do it tonight under the terms of the lease that you have in front of you, to lease it to the Cabarrus Health Alliance, basically for $1 a year for 10 years. Now, under that statute, the longest you can have a lease is for 10 years. Otherwise, you have to treat it as a sale. So the lease in this situation is for a 10-year lease at $1 a year. And as the chairman said, the lessee or the tenant is picking up almost all of the expenses, certainly the upfitting and most of the maintenance on the building, except for the outside of the building, so that the county still controls that. So that is really the main provisions of that lease. Now, in this case, I did not draw the lease. The attorney for CHA drafted the lease, and again, as you can see, it's got a lot of legalese in it. I forget how many pages it is. I don't have it right in front of me, but I can get it. But typically you have a lot of different provisions when you talk about leasing real property that you need to cover in a commercial lease. And so he has done that, and most of that really doesn't matter in terms of the everyday operation of the lease. For example, there's provisions in there about what would happen if it was condemned, what would happen if there's a casualty loss, and all those things are taken care of in a normal way in a commercial lease of that sort. So there's, like I say, there's a lot of provisions in there that make that lease a long document, but that don't really matter on a day-to-day basis with reference to the lease. So again, I didn't draft it, but I've been over it and have reviewed it, and I don't have any problem with the way it's drawn. It's, like I say, most of the provisions are weighted toward the tenant, where they have to take care of matters that would come up. Since the property is exempt, there aren't any taxes. We do have insurance matters to take care of, and that's contained in there as well. So overall, it's for the type of lease that it is to convey, or excuse me, to basically lease to another local government entity. It's what you would expect to see.
Okay, I think the one thing that, and I did see a copy of that lease. I think it was emailed to me earlier today, perhaps by their attorney, or it may have been. Yeah, so I do not have a copy of that in front of me right now. And it was very much as you described, as I read it. It was mostly things that didn't compute with me, but I'm not an attorney.
So this lease that we keep referring to, and county attorney is referring to, you're referring to, Chair Morris, I don't have a copy in front of me, whether it's paper in our packet. I'm not seeing
That's
any
what
of
I
that.
just stated, and
Yeah,
that's
well,
what I
you
was
said that
investigating.
Yeah, you had received it earlier today. None of us up here have received that. So
And
that's
that's
a
part of
forward
the
of an email.
discussion. That's part of the questions that I'm asking the attorney as to the process. If
Well, it should be, it's pretty clear that in the process, that if we don't have a copy in front of us, how can we vote on something that we don't,
Well, we're
that we have
not
not
going,
reviewed?
I think
or-
that's what I'm trying to ascertain before you did not allow me to finish
Well,
my
you added-
conversation with the attorney, is that we will not be voting on this lease tonight.
Well, you added it to the agenda, so what was the purpose of adding it to the agenda without us?
Was to have this discussion to determine if we could begin the 30-day period, so it would be available for the board to vote on at their regular meeting in December. And is that correct, Mr. Cook?
That is correct. Tonight, basically what you do is you announce that there is this lease and that you may enter into it in 30 days. You're not entering into it tonight. But certainly, as I indicated, the statute requires that at least the main business terms of the lease be announced. In other words, who the tenant is going to be, what the length of the lease is, what the amount of rent is, and who is paying for the other incidentals that come up in the context of a lease, like for insurance and for, I say we don't deal with taxes on this property, but other matters like upfits and maintenance. So I think we've covered all those in terms of what is in the document. And so, while I say you're not voting on it tonight, you don't really vote on and agree to enter into it for 30 days at the next regular meeting. You certainly are letting the public know that you may intend to enter into that lease in 30 days at that time. So,
okay, so if you have covered the basic disclosure items, which I think you said you had, then a copy of that lease can be provided for every member of this board, as well as a copy of the lease could be available in the county manager's office if any member of the public chose to come in and read it, and then the board could enter into a discussion and a vote on it at their December meeting. Did I interpret that all correctly?
that is correct.
So tonight, we would have to pass a motion declaring this as surplus property that we desire to lease, as you have described. Would that be the only action we would take tonight, or do we need to do something official saying that there is an intent to bring it back up in December?
I would do both. First of all, to declare it surplus, and secondly, that you do plan to consider the matter at the next regular meeting. I would have some motion that that's what you plan to do, to follow the statute.
Great. Commissioner Wortman, did you have your?
I'll just say, this is similar to one of the previous items we went over. It's not that I have an issue with, what's trying to be accomplished. If the Health Alliance wants to rent that property from us, that's okay. But, we're hearing a presentation from the attorney, saying, as you can see in the contract, as you can, see, and we can't see any of that. So that's the issue I have. And then here we're still going to be voting to take some preliminary steps to get to the final result, and we don't have that information. If you had that earlier today, it should have been distributed to each of the board members for our review, just so we're aware of what's in the contract, what we're discussing. That's the proper procedure. That's the proper protocol that should be followed.
Okay, Commissioner Wortman.
Rich, my question is for you, since there's going to be a motion to declare this surplus. Does that tie our hands next month if we decide that it is not surplus?
Well, I don't think your hands would be tied if you decided at some point between now and 30 days that you wanted to use it for some other purpose for the county. I think you could say that it's not surplus any longer. I think that you're always open to change your mind on that issue, particularly if you have a period of time in the meantime before you have to vote. Things can change. So you could decide that you want to use it for some county purpose. That could come up. So if you vote today to consider it surplus because you feel that it is at this point, you're bound to that only until you may decide later on that things have changed. So you could change your vote.
Has anyone consulted with the Friends of Library in Mount Pleasant about this proposal?
Not to my knowledge. I think that the property was conveyed to the county. The Friends of the Library were very involved and present and active in the ribbon cutting for the new facility, and I think most pleased and appreciative.
I'm sure they are, but I know that probably a generation before them helped, raise a lot of the funds to pay for this building. So I just curious if there had been any conversation with them about this. And they may wholeheartedly support it.
Yeah,
and
and
that's fine,
that's one of the reasons for starting the clock on the process now. They've got 30 days to come and express their opinions about it. If they're not in favor of providing health services in Mount Pleasant, or if they are.
well, it's not that they would be against providing health services. It's the question about, they helped raise the funds to pay for that building. So it has nothing to do with whether they're supporting health services. That's conflating two different things. They're certainly for that, but like I said, they were instrumental in raising the money for the building. So it just seemed like a simple, phone call to just see how they felt.
Commissioner Meismer, we did meet, or myself and Ms. Sifford met with Dr. Dobson, who was one of the leaders of those fundraising efforts as well. We met with them 3 days ago, just to see if, and along with Aaron Shue as well, just to see if it's something that they would entertain. And both the Health Alliance and Dr. Dobson thought it was an excellent idea to explore.
As I said, I'm absolutely not opposed to it. The proper process would be for us to have all the information before there's a vote. So.
Okay, I would move that Cabarrus County declare the former Mount Pleasant Library as surplus property.
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes 4-1. I would further move that the county take steps to enter into a lease agreement with the Cabarrus Health Alliance for the former Mount Pleasant Library Building to provide public health services to the town of Mount Pleasant and the eastern part of the county, subject to the review requirements of the lease, which were presented by the attorney earlier in this meeting, and subject to final action to be taken by this board at their regular December meeting. Did I cover all the pieces on that, Rich?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
So we're voting to enter into a lease agreement, but none of us have seen the lease.
You have 30 days to examine the lease
Right.
between now and the time that you vote on it.
But it probably would have been helpful for us to examine that before this.
It probably would be.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any additional discussion? Okay, then, all in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes 4-1. And I think that completes all of our items of new business. We move down now to reports. First is to receive updates from commission members who serve as liaisons to municipalities or on various boards and/or committees.
Active Living and Parks would like to announce the Senior Christmas Party December 10th from 10 to 2 at the arena. That is a free event. The Woodland Christmas Party at Franklin Park Barn is December 14th from 10 to 1. The cost for that is $5. And the Christmas Craft Workshop is December 6th at 1 p.m. at the Concord Active Living Center, and the cost for that is $25.
Thank you. Are there other updates? If not, we will now move to general comments by board members, if anyone has anything.
This is my last meeting. I just want to say thanks to all the county staff, Mike, Lauren, the rest of you. Since my transition a year and 4 months ago from the school board to here, it's been, y'all have answered every question I've had, and it's been a good year and 4 months, and I'll be, and to the new board members, my friend there, Lauren and Larry there, we'll be watching, and more importantly, I'll be praying for you guys. I'll be praying for the rest of this board. You're going to have some big things to do going forward, and a lot of opportunities to do some things. So even though I'm moving to, I'll sleep tonight in Stanfield, North Carolina, but I still own a house in Cabarrus County, and my business is in Cabarrus County, and I will be around. So you'll be hearing from me for sure. And I just want to say thank all of you guys. It's been really good.
Thank you. Okay, other comments? Okay, I will mention, as been mentioned previously, excuse me, in this meeting, this is my final regular commission meeting after 12 years. It has been a pleasure serving. It's been a wonderful experience for me. I've had the opportunity to serve with a number of different other commissioners over those 12 years and have formed some really strong, meaningful relationships. Have certainly learned a great deal from those other members that I have served with, many of whom have retired to other activities in the community. And that has been a privilege. I think, just counting roughly, that's been 288 county commission meetings. I think of those 288 meetings, I have missed one meeting, which was when I was out of the country at one of those. And for the benefit of the public and these folks that continue to serve, the meetings, those 288 meetings are just a small piece of it. When you add in the legislative agenda meetings, the budget workshops, and all the other special meetings, it is a figure much larger than that. But, I want to make special recognition of our staff here. And I would love to name every single one of them, and that would certainly be a mistake. We've had a number of different assistant county managers and deputy county managers during my tenure. We've had some department heads that have come and gone. We've had several different clerks to the board. The two consistent people that have been here throughout has been the county manager, Mike Downs, who is, I cannot say enough positive things about his integrity, his knowledge, his years of experience. And I have benefited from learning from all of those things over the years. As I will echo what Commissioner Furr said earlier, I have never had any difficulty getting any question answered that I ever had regarding anything about the operations of the county. And those questions continue today, and they will continue tomorrow until the new board is sworn in on December the 2nd. Also, our county attorney, Rich Cook, has been a consistent person that has been involved throughout that entire period of time. Once again, countless questions that I have posed to him, and never had any difficulty whatsoever getting an answer to those questions. The answer wasn't always the answer I wanted. Sometimes when I ask him questions, he says, "No, you can't do that." And so I said, "Well, tell me how we can do it." So it's been a really gratifying experience. I am proud of what we have accomplished during that time, and I hope to see very positive things happen here in Cabarrus County going forward. And with that being said, if no one else has any additional comments?
I'll just say, Commissioner Furr and Commissioner Morris, thank you for your service. I know that we have not always agreed on some things. I would say that, 90% of what this board does, we agree on. And there's probably even more than that, but there's a small portion that we have not. But no one, and each one of you understand this, no one understands what it takes to sit in this seat and what it takes to get here. I know many people, strive, run in elections and try, and it's tough. It's difficult, and serving is very difficult. So, thank you both for your service.
Thank you.
That's truly what it is.
Okay.
Lauren, you want to talk about the reception? What? Tomorrow, right? Yeah. Okay, that's 4 o'clock. 5:30. Well, you keep, the last time I looked at it, it was 4. Yeah. So, if you're able to, just stop in. We're going to have a reception to thank Commissioner Furr and Commissioner Morris. It's going to be in the Rotunda area downstairs. So, just stop by, get a little bit of punch and a couple of snacks, but then most of all, express your thanks and appreciation. So.
Thank you. And all that being said, we do have need of a closed session tonight. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session per North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A and 3 for discussion of pending litigation. Okay, we've got a motion and the second. Commissioner Shue, second. Commissioner Workman made the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes, and we are now in closed session. Thank you all for joining us tonight.